So if you've joined us for our last couple of videos, you know here at the Herbathogree we've been getting our Halloween craft on. It is our favourite time of year, well, second to Christmas anyway. As requested, I showed you guys how we made this really spooky Halloween house. It's going to have a speaker playing spooky music and the flashing lights next to our door, and the book that we made, the spell book from Hocus Pocus. Today we are making a very cheap and easy door hanger or door wreath for Halloween, as the girls didn't want to go with our usual skeleton sitting on a toilet poster this year. Almost more than Halloween shopping and Christmas shopping is the day after Halloween and Christmas. I picked all of these bits up, reduced to 50p, 25p the day after Halloween last year and just after Christmas. But you could pick all similar things up in Poundland. That's where I got most of these, and I reckon even if I went and bought them all now, it would cost me less than £6 to make, not including the paint and the hot glue, of course. Wreaths were in the Christmas section last year and they were reduced to 50p, so I think I bought about 10 of them because we make our Christmas wreaths and lots of different wreaths. Actually, we even make one for springtime, but I wanted it to be more spooky, so I had this tester part of black paint, and I figured this would adhere to the wood better than the chalk paint or the powder paint that I normally use. So I just gave my wreath a good coat of black paint. It was difficult to get in all the crevices, but I wasn't too worried about that, as I felt that it gave it more of a rustic look with the bits of brown coming through, and it's going to be dark on Halloween anyway, so I'm not sure anyone will really notice. The trick-or-treat sign was reduced to 25p on the day after Halloween last year, but I have seen them in there again and they're only £1. This I wanted orange, so I recruited my little lady to help me paint. We didn't have any orange paint, so we just mixed red and yellow together. And once we had the orange that we liked, we just gave that a good coat of orange. My little lady loves joining in and painting, so as I said, I left her to do this part. The trick-or-treat writing is actually carved into the board, so it was completely okay for her to go over those, as we are going to go over them again later to make them really stand out. While that was still wet, I decided to take my red and just go around those edges with a swiping effect. I think it gives it a really nice effect and makes it pop really nicely. And once the paint had dried, I just went over the lettering in some more of that black paint. I popped everything aside for an hour to dry properly while we all went and picked some apples from my neighbour's garden, as we're going to be doing apple bobbing at our Halloween party this year. And then when it was all dry, it was time to work it out. Now I got these pumpkins, the skull lights, the light up spider, the skeleton. Everything was reduced last year, so it just needed to work out how I was going to put it together. I had initially planned to stick the sign to the top of the wreath, but because of the bumpy bits of the wreath, there wasn't enough place for the hot glue to get purchased, and I didn't want it all falling apart as we're going to be putting them up, well, today actually, so a week before Halloween, well, 6 days, close enough. So I had this orange rope that I took from one of the kids' old toys that we were chucking away. I always grab little bits here and there, like if there's a ribbon on something, we'll always take that off before we throw it away, because you never know when you could use it. I had thought of using these little eyelets and attaching them and hooking them in, but again, couldn't get them in and there wasn't going to be enough purchase. So I used the orange rope and a lot of hot glue to attach the rope to the back of the sign. So it's going to be hanging slightly from the sign now instead. And just to be extra cautious, as it's usually windy on Halloween nights as well as raining, I went over the top of the rope and down the sides a couple of times, and even put some hot glue on the hanging rope at the top, just to make sure that the weight of the wreath doesn't pull them out of their little staples. Once that was all dried, it was time to plan. Now, my skeleton has a noose around his neck anyway, so I thought that would be a really cool effect. So I actually wanted to have him hanging in the middle, and before I stuck everything down, I wanted to put the bits on and see how they looked. I had these skull lights, and I know that I wanted to be lit up, but unfortunately where the wires come out, it would have made it really hard to stick them down, and you'd be able to see the wires sticking out, and that's not really the effect that I want, as I'm not sure how I'd hide them in afterwards. The noose around his neck already, the thin string, didn't seem strong enough if he's going to be flapping around in the wind, and you also couldn't really see it that well. So I had some thicker rope that I decided to make a noose with and tie that around his neck, and we're going to use that to hang him. Now, I did consider painting this orange as well, but the color is close enough and I don't think it really matters, but of course you could do. So once I decided I'd got him exactly where I wanted him, using that hot glue again, I just glued him to, or his rope rather, to the back where that orange rope is. Not only did this secure him, but it also kept the, or helped stick down the orange rope that's holding it and keep that in place. And my hot glue gun is being awkward. You know, I must just be bad luck for them, because if you watch the previous videos, you know that this is now the third one that I've been using. This one is rechargeable and wireless, so it is quite possible that it's just my impatience and I never let it charge long enough. So I just snipped off the ends to hide them in. See, you could tie him around, you could attach him anyway, but I decided to go with the hot glue gun version. Decided to try one more time to see if there was a way that I could attach the skulls still in the lights and see if I could hide them in. But in the end, I just decided that I was going to pull the lights out instead and use the skulls separately and the lights separately. I then very carefully glued the lights in around the wreath, making sure to let the hot glue cool a little bit, obviously not dry completely, before attaching the lights, because I don't want to melt any of the wires. And I only attached it at the section below the bulb where it's reinforced with a ring of plastic. Once they were all dried and in place, it was time to start working out where I wanted my little knickknacks to go. The spider lights up as well, and I didn't know if I wanted him to look like he was going to get the skeleton or what, so I tried a few different ideas. Now those skulls have got the lights out now, and where the heads or the back of the skulls come out, they do actually sit quite nicely. At the pumpkins too, I didn't know if I wanted to alternate them or, well, yeah, just try a couple of ideas and see what I liked. But in the end, I decided I didn't really like the effect of the pumpkins with the skulls, so I decided instead to put the skulls all the way around, making it look kind of like they're watching him hang or giggling at him hang. I did place each of the skulls close to one of the lights so that they would still light up. Also, they cover the lights a bit, and I decided that the flashing red spider would look really good up on the trick-or-treat sign, so that would light that up as well. Last bit I didn't film. I ended up deciding on doing it at the last minute, but I did want to use those pumpkins, so with some orange yarn that I had left over from one of the pumpkin projects, I just threaded the orange yarn through the pumpkins and attached them to the bottom like wind chimes, so when they do rock in the wind. They'll bash together and hopefully not overpower the spooky music coming out of our spooky house. I really like this effect when it's all lit up. I did hot glue the battery pack of the lights to the back of the trick-or-treat sign to keep that all hidden, but when I do the Christmas ones, I just hot glue it to the back of the actual wreath. But I absolutely love how this turned out. I did go back in with the hot glue gun later and add a bit more hot glue behind those skulls, as they were not attached. Well, they were attached, they were just attached rather flimsily, and I don't want it falling apart, as it will be up for an entire week. I did leave the lights off as we were due rain, and where I hot glued the spider to the sign, there's no way I'm getting them off to replace the batteries. But I really, really love this. I'm so glad we decided that the skeleton on a toilet can go in one of the windows this year. Let us know if you like the project, if you're making your own Halloween wreath this year. Please comment down below, send us some pictures. I do love hearing from you guys. If you enjoyed the video and our last ones, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and let us know if there's any other projects that you'd like to see. Not sure if we'll have many more Halloween DIY videos, as we will be back out foraging again from tomorrow. It's our first autumn/winter class, and the only other item that we're going to be making are our tombstones for our pet cemetery in the garden.